Thank you very much. Well, I guess we're going to start with a big shout to all your mums out there. I hope you have a lovely Mother's Day, and obviously to my mum as well. I actually came from a family of women, so I was the youngest and I was a boy. I obviously got a preferential treatment because I was a boy and I was the youngest, and they called me the golden child. And that sort of, that brought back memories yesterday when we delivered a hit of 22 metres, 66 grams a tonne. That was an outstanding hit, and last night I was having a couple of beers and one of our investors said, Luke, wouldn't it be nice if you got your boys out there and went and panned some of that gold for us so you can show us tomorrow morning? So I made a very early call to the guys on site, and there it is, that picture there. So that was panned this morning, and that's a gold towel of around 3 centimetres, and it goes all the way around the pan. And that's just one of the meters that we hit. So I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about that hit, but yeah, we obviously had a bit of a share price run yesterday, went up 70%. But what this does represent, and I'll show you on the maps, is that this is actually a new zone. We've been targeting, I guess, what we call the banded iron formations. And we've been assaying that, and that only represents around 5% of the geology in that area. This is in the other 95% of what we hold. So it's opened up a whole new area that we're going to start drilling and looking at. And obviously the rigs have been remobilised back to this area, and we're going to start drilling this area along strike and to depth. But I'll show you all that on some maps. So overall, where are we? So we are up in the Murchison, just north of Perth. If you drove directly east, you hit Kalgoorlie. If you drove directly north, you hit the area called the Murchison, and we're around Kew. Now, in that area, we've got 3 projects. The Island Gold Project, where we just had that big hit at 22 metres at 66 grams a tonne. That's pretty good dirt, but quite common for the Murchison and quite common for the Island Gold Project. We've also got the Comet Gold Project. That runs along strike to the Island Gold Project. And we've got Cuddingwarra, which is a very well-known mining district with big resources, and we're in there as well. So got great tenure. One thing that's missing from this map is we actually just sold the West Arunta. So the West Arunta is a project in the heart of Australia. It's where WA1 and Encounter made all of their great success finding niobium. But really, the Island Gold Project is taking, this has really got legs now. We're in the heartland of Murchison, surrounded by mills, good infrastructure, and lots of million-ounce deposits. So we've sold the West Arunta. We clawed back all the money we spent on it. Also, we're holding a 25% free carry. So that's a pretty good deal, and good luck to Corella. We'll look forward to seeing some of their results. Now, in terms of, you need cash to drill. So we've got 13 million in the bank. We've got another 3 mil coming, so that's 16 million. I've just budgeted 50,000 metres, and we're going to get that smashed out this year. And that's going to be over all 3 projects. Now, we've got a big portion of our share registry that I guess we've got super funds on there. We've got institutional investors. We've got some big gold players. It's just because where we're located and obviously the team that we've built. It's all about the team. So I'm the MD. My life started as a geo exploration out in Africa looking for gold, working for companies like RIU Mining, came to Australia, became a production geologist. I became, from a production geologist, I then became a senior geologist, became a superintendent of geology. Then I became the geology manager, and then I started to cross over into production. So looking after the drill and blast team, load and haul. So I became technical services manager, quarry manager, and then mine manager. And this is all my time spent with Evolution Mining. So I was part of one of the original team that when Evolution started, obviously there was Conquest on the east coast and there was Catalpa on the west coast. We merged and formed Evolution, and then there's a very good history went from there. So I became mine manager for Evolution. And during that time also, I worked for the banks as well. So I went through feasibility, debt financing for projects. I actually worked for Rothschild just here in Sydney. I also did commodity trading. So working for companies like Goldman Sachs, so that was physical markets on bullion. And then for all my sins, I worked in the vaults of London, actually storage of gold. But so I've worked from exploration all the way to production and all in gold. Rob Waugh, he's well known. So he did the Musgrave project, which ultimately got taken out by Ramilius. that ground surrounds the island. Rob always wanted to get on the island, and he's finally there, and he's joined the team. Roger Mason, highly experienced geo. He's with Antipa, and then Scott Deacon, so highly financier. So he gives us all I guess, the background of how we get the equity up, and obviously the share price at Unia. Highly experienced COSEC. So there we are. So we're right in the heartland. So you drive north, you hit Mount Magnet. That's Ramelius. They got the Checkers Mill. Go another 50 k's north, you hit the Break of Day deposit. There's 1 million ounces. We're the blue box. So the Island Gold Project. There's been known gold there for 100 years. Just in one small area, they were taking gold off the surface. So they mined 40,000 ounces at 46 grams a tonne. So it's really that ounce material that you see up on the Island Gold Project. You go off to the northeast and you start to hit the Comet projects, and you go to the north and you hit Cutting-Morra. But we're surrounded. The actual Great Northern Highway runs through our project. So I'm not building infrastructure. I've got the gold at surface, which I'll show you in detail, and I've got surrounded by processing plants. So it's all about location, location, location. Now this is a zoom into the island. So when I got there, what I saw was surface workings. A prospector joined me. We went down some of these sort of rabbit warrens. We went down there. He showed me what he saw, where the gold was, where the high grade was. Once I saw that, I knew this was a project. This was going to be a gold project. So this became spearheaded within Caprice. And over that time, we've been working on the surface. We've been doing geophysics at depth. We've been doing lots of RC drilling and diamond drilling, which I'll talk about. And we've got all these areas that started to form. So now we've got Vadrons, that's over 1 kilometre long. Just over to the west, we've got Baxter, we've got New Orient, and then we've got all these other targets that we started to drill that are also intercepting gold. Now, the one we just hit the other day, 22 metres at 66, is in a brand new area. That is, we always targeted the banded iron formations. Now we're seeing gold in the mafics. So that's a whole new target. And as I say, the banded iron formations represent 5% of what we've been targeting. The other 95% has been in these mafics, and now we're starting to see it at very high grades in the mafics. So a whole new swag of targets are going to come out. So this is the main area that we've been drilling, which is called Vadrons. Now, when I first rocked up, there was one hole in this, and it looked like decent grade, and I thought it was something worth following up. So I scissored the hole. I got 28 metres at 6.4, and then the other hole, I got 27 metres at 3. We started to drill this thing out. We went deeper. We went to 400 metres. We're still hitting the gold. I went a long strike, 1 kilometre. I'm still hitting the gold. And now I've hit another area into the page. So this is opening up quite nicely. And you can see these deep purple areas. They're 50 gram metres, so that's where you start to get this ounce material. Now, one thing, even though we've got Vadrons, when you look on this cross-section on the right-hand side, that's the Vadrons deposit. And now we've got this hit right in the green area. This is the other 95% of the island. So we've already drilled a hole underneath it, and we're just waiting for the assays to come back on that. The rigs are now to the north. We're going to start chasing that to the north and see if we can repeat some of these structures. But it is on what we're calling a Bugatti break. A Bugatti break is what hosts all of the gold in the Murchison. If you have a Bugatti break, which essentially runs northeast, and then it gets cross-cut by a northwester, which is another shear. It's like X marks the spot, just like on a treasure hunt. Where these two congregate, you get a pooling of gold. And every time we've hit one of those structures, we've hit gold. And when you'll see on the next couple of maps, this one here. So you've got the northwesters, and there's big black lines of the Bugatti breaks. Every time that it crosses, we've hit gold. So one thing you have to remember, these rocks have been out there for a couple of billion years. So it's been heavy weathering at surface. So what you see is a depletion zone from surface down to around 30 metres. So you're not always going to see the high grade gold at surface. So what you need to do is drill with air core drilling and go down around 20 metres and get into the fresh. So all these pink and purple dots, these are new targets. These are where there's been so much gold there that the weathering process couldn't get rid of all of it. So the sulfides weather out, the nuggets fall out, they wash down into a creek, and that's where the prospectors find the gold. So we come back up to the source, we do the air core drilling, and now we start to hit all of these targets. Those golden areas are where we've got gold at surface. So those were really high grade areas, and that, you know, as you've seen, 22 metres at 66 grams a tonne. Now that's at surface. So we said, well, how deep do these things go? So we did some geophysics, we looked at the gravity. So banded iron formations are very dense and highly magnetic. When a shear goes through it, it obliterates the magnetism and it obliterates I guess the density of the rock. So the blue areas where you're seeing shears go through, these go to depth. So that map on the left is 400 meters deep, and we've drilled to 400 meters deep and proven the gold. Now the map on the right says, well, that's 600 meters deep, and those structures are still there. And they tie up very nicely with where we're finding the drilling as well. So seeing gold at surface, we're seeing gold at 400. Now we're going to 600 meters with the drill rigs. And we've got Hagstrom out there. I think Hagstrom, yep, thanks mate. They're out there right now with a diamond rig and RC going hammer and tongs, banging out that 50,000 meters. Now, on top of all of that, we've got the Comet project, which are a long strike, so it's the banded iron formations. They head off to the northeast. Now, right in the middle there is a mine that was owned by Westgold, and it's called Comet. That's very similar to what we find on the island. So that's just to the north of us. There's 1 million ounces. There's 1 million ounces to the south. So people say to us, well, what are you targeting? Well, 1 million ounces. So in the Comet mine that's just recently been sold to Valiant, there is several open pits, then there's an underground. And these are the high-grade shoots, exactly what we see at Vadrans. Now, it'd be quite interesting because the strike and the orientation of those ore bodies, they head to the north, straight into our ground. So we've gone out there, we've done some geochemical sampling, we're getting signatures for the north of Comet Mine, so we're going to go back in there and do some drilling there as well, so that's a high priority target. And obviously we've got Cutting Rock up there in the north as well, so very interesting geochemical targets we're getting there as well. But history, they're telling us that the gold's at surface, just like what we saw at Vadrans. So I dare say there's going to be something popping up at Comet very soon. Now, always about news flow. So obviously I try and keep as much news into the market to keep the share price up. As of yesterday, you know, that was a pretty good run, 70% on the share price. Now we're going to have, look, I just haven't stopped drilling for 12 months and we're not going to stop for another 12 months. So those rigs are just going to be spinning. So that just means there'll be constant assays coming out for RC. So RC holes, they'll be going down to around 200 to 300 meters. And then if we need to go any deeper, we go down with a diamond and they go down from 500 to 600 meters. So there'll be constant assays every month coming out. As we saw with some of the other presenters, you start talking about metallurgical test work. So there'll be another report coming out on that. But what we did, we looked at the processing plant down south, which is owned by Ramelius. We followed the flow sheet. We took a big slab of ore. We put it through that process and we got very good results, but that will come out fairly shortly. So yeah, fair bit of news flow coming out. Yeah, so it's all about the Murchison now. So 100% laser focus on the Murchison. This will become a great project. So Island Gold project where we're drilling now, 22 meters at 66 grams a ton. If you take anything away, take that away today. Comet Gold project, that'll be up and coming, and Cutting Rock is early exploration. All right, thank you very much. Happy Mother's Day, and yeah, see you all soon.